Hey, this is Ron at the Radiologic Technologist.com blog, YouTube channel, et cetera, et cetera. I have been, shut that fan off. I have been remiss in replying to emails lately because I have just been slammed. And so I'm going to take my lunch break here and answer some questions because that's why I started this whole thing to begin with, was to answer questions for people interested in the field. I have an email from, well, let's just say Folsom. And he says, hey, hope this email finds you well and gets to you. I'm a senior at such and such high school, and I'm hoping to get into one of my local community college radiography programs once I'm out of high school and become a radiologic technologist, of course. I had some questions about the field as a whole and thought you might be able to answer them. And there's 6 questions. This is 6. Do you have to continuously go through education after you get an associate's degree? Do you have to continuously go through education after you get an associate's degree? I'm not sure what you mean there. When you go to Xray school, some of those schools provide you with an association degree upon graduation. Others do not. They provide you with a certificate. If you get your associate's degree before you get in, then you would still have to go through the Xray program, even if you already had an associate's degree. I guess maybe some schools are requiring a degree to get in now. I'm not quite sure. Let's keep going and see if we can figure that one out. Number 2, do you have to take the ARRT during the hypothetical extra education? Brother, we're going to have to start over because I'm not even sure what you're talking about. Hypothetical extra education. You take your ART national exam after successfully graduating from an accredited radiography program to be precise. So so let me back up. So, and there's lots of information on my blog about this and on the YouTube channel. You don't have to have an ART license to practice Xray in some states in America. And the ART is just America. Outside of America, they don't even know what the ART is. But in most states, and I think there's still about 7 states in the United States that don't require any licensure whatsoever. I'm in one right now. I'm in Idaho. There's no requirement for a licensure. A doctor can say, hey, Secretary Sally, Xray that patient for me. And if Sally knows how to push the right buttons, she can attempt to acquire an Xray. There's about 6 or 7 states left that don't require a licensure, but in states like Idaho, where it's not required, the hospitals do. The hospitals will only give you a set amount of time to get your license. So in other words, they will hire a student who just graduated, who's not licensed yet, and they will mark them as a non-registered tech is their title, and they will pay them less. And then once they get their licensure from the ARRT, they get the title of Tech 1, and their pay becomes commensurate to that new title. So even though the state doesn't require an ART license, the hospitals do. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go get a job elsewhere. Doctor's offices, chiropractic offices, urgent cares, that kind of thing that don't require a licensure. We have them right here in my town. You don't have to have a license. They also get paid a lot less. So do you have to take the ART during the hypothetical? I'm not sure what the hypothetical extra education is you're talking about, but you have to be licensed by the ART if you want to work in certain states and if you want to make the most amount of money possible in our craft. Let's just leave it at that. Number 3, this is silly, but I wanted to double check. Radiographers and radiologic technologists are the exact same thing, right? Yes, I should be, but I've been fed false info by the internet before. I didn't realize the difference between a radiologist and a radiologic technologist. The panic I had when I looked at the tuition, yeah, which is why I started my blog like 6 years ago or whatever now. Websites are notoriously, the business model is you get paid for how many people look at your website. And so you've heard of keywords and SEO and maybe even keyword spamming from back in the day, but people who don't know what they're looking for sometimes use the word technician for what we do. And so websites that don't really care about what we do, but just care about how many people come and look at the page so that they get paid based on the number of ads on the side of the page, they will use the word technician or other words that are incorrect because they don't care if they're giving you correct information or not. They only care about how many people look at their page while their ads are playing so they can make money based on ads. So it's easy to get misled like you're talking about, which is one of the reasons I started my blog, was to start helping people find the correct information. And so X-ray techs have a lot of names. There's X-ray tech, rad tech, radiographer, a radiologic technologist. All those are the technologist who performs the X-ray. The doctor, the MD or DO who goes through medical school to interpret the images and do reports and say what they see in the images, is the doctor. That's the radiologist. That's all they're called, radiologists. Now there's different kinds that you can become. You can become an interventional radiologist. You can become an MSK or musculoskeletal radiologist. But the basic schooling is radiologist. And golly, that's like 16 years or something to get to that point, let alone specialize. So don't worry about getting that wrong. There's still a lot of people who get that wrong. Number 4, how much math is involved? I'm not the best at it, but I've heard that you only need simple algebra, calculus, etc. So great question. I sucked at math. I had to take calculus 4 times. No kidding. Just to get a D so that I could graduate with my bachelor's degree. So, and I got through the program. So there is math involved, but it's not something you can't overcome. Maybe you have to study it a little bit more than the biology stuff or the medical terminology stuff. But it's not insurmountable. Lots of people have made it through. I actually, side story, but I was teaching at a local X-ray school, and they failed to let someone in the program because they had a low math score, even though they passed all the other tests. And I actually quit teaching there because that program director denied someone access to the program because they had a low math score, even though all the other tests that they took put them in the top 10 to get into the program. That person didn't allow them. And I that's a bunch of crap. If that had happened to me when I applied to X-ray school, I would have never gotten in. So don't worry about the math. If you have to study extra, but it's not something that you can't accomplish. Do you have a PDF of your X-ray tech book? I don't. I mean, that was 20 years ago. But I mean, when you get your books, your textbooks for school, there will be PDF versions. There will be electronic versions available. And number 6, how's your day going? My day is going pretty good. Again, sorry, it took me a little bit. In fact, your question reminded me that I have another question that I forgot to answer that's like 2 weeks old or something. I got to go find that. So Folsom, dude, I hope you determine this is what you like. If you have more questions, ask. You should go find my Facebook group. And if if you're anti-Facebook, I get it. I understand that. But the Facebook group environment is so easy to communicate thoughts and questions and answers and things like that, that it's just hard to not utilize it for community sharing. So if you go to Facebook and you type in the Radiologic Technologist, you should find my Facebook group that way. And there's, I don't know, 50 probably rad tech groups by now. When I started, there was only a couple. And we have over 10,000. I think we're actually pushing 12,000 members down the group, but people join every day. They ask questions just like these every day. And I built that group, and I monitor it very heavily. And I've even had people helping me mod it now. But we keep out all of the garbage, like the headhunters that come in there that say they've got jobs everywhere and they could care less about contributing anything to the group. We delete them, ban them as soon as we find them. So go find that Facebook group, join, ask away. You can even post anonymously if you want to. Go to my blog, the radiologictechnologist.com blog, and use the search feature there. 250 articles or something like that, all related to what we do and how we do it and why we do it and how we got trained to do it and all those things. And then there's this YouTube channel, search around in it, see what you got. I've got a whole bunch of live stuff, kind of like this, where over lunch or something, I would just talk for an hour and answer different questions, live streams, things like that. So if radiography or even radiology appeals to you, we do talk about ultrasound stuff and MRI and IR. That's one of the cool things about radiography or radiology as a whole is there's so many different jobs you can do. That's just almost endless. So anyway, I'll cut it short there. Thanks for the question, and let me know if you need anything else.